Everybody here? Hi, welcome to the show. This is Alex. We're gonna talk about aliens. We're gonna talk about aliens. We're gonna talk about aliens. They're coming, they're already here, we know. Know that one? MASH. Let's see. How's everybody today? Everybody see me all right? Let me go back to OBS. We're going to talk about aliens today. It's not going to be too long. Okay, I'm here on scene one. You see me. Now, let's see. We've got one in chat. I think there were two, maybe three. 1 point. People are clicking in, clicking out. Okay, so to start off this video, like I say, I like to get right to the subject so that if you found this after it was live, which most of you will, you can still watch a good 10, 14-minute video and click off if you'd like. But what I'll do is I open it up to discussion after we're done. But let me tell you the story. What happened was, I've got some footage here from my mother. I'm talking to my mother, and we both remember an encounter that we had at our house. There she is. And we start talking about it. Now, it was only just a few years ago that I remembered my mother walking into my bedroom and telling me to come meet some people outside that I already knew that were outside, because then I later remembered looking out my window and them there looking in at me and communicating with me. And this all just came up like flashbacks from a reoccurring dream as a kid, I thought, you know. And one day I remember to ask my mother when I was at her place and I was visiting her, and I said, did I ever tell you about like aliens outside my window and landing in the yard and you were there? And she goes, she started remembering it too. She goes, yeah, they were out in the front yard by the east lot and by the street. And I was like, yeah. I said, you were there too? Oh my gosh. And so this has only been a recent discovery with us. And it's just like it's a memory of an event that we both can describe, and we both were there, and same details. But we both just forgot about it. I'm thinking, how do you forget about this? You know, all the way, you know, this happened when I was probably 6 and a half, 7 years old. And I've never remembered it in my whole life. And people talk about alien encounters. I've studied Roswell. My mom, actually, when I was a kid, a teenager, she had The Day Before Roswell, the book by that colonel, what's his name? They got all of the parts retro-engineered and sent into industry. Things that they declared like fiber optics and Velcro and stuff like that. Bulletproof materials. Different technologies. So anyway, I'm talking with my mom here. Let me just run the clip of this. This is when I asked her, how did you know that there were aliens outside? Because when I looked out my window, I remember her out there. She went outside before I did, and I guess I was too afraid, or I didn't want to. So they went and got her first. Let's put you on the screen where you can see that actually. see that? Yeah, you do. Okay, that's my mom. This is at her place, and I went over and I just used my old webcam, but let her talk as far as what she remembers. I want to stop it right there and just add something. I've figured out, because I'm still gathering more recollection of this memory. As the more I think about it, the more details come out, come back. It's kind of like the movie The Hangover. You know how like the night after a big, huge Vegas booze crash, for 2 days, you're not going to remember that binge. But you know how like weeks later you remember like, oh, we did that. Ooh, and all of a sudden details start coming back. It's like that. It's so deep in my brain, in my memory, in my consciousness that I don't remember. But I wonder if I want to get hypnotically regressed and remember the details. But I think it would be interesting. What she says here. This is what I was going to say. I'm starting to think that the screens that they showed me, they were on the outer peripheral wall. When you walked in the craft and made a U-turn off your shoulder, I was looking like right where the portal window would be. There was no window on the outside that I remember, nor on the inside. It looked like I was looking at a flat screen on a monitor mounted on a wall. And there were two other beings that were with me in there, like they were just at my side. And there was the main one. It had a bigger, heavier presence than the other two. Maybe more intelligence, or was it more purpose drone or whatever they're made from. I've heard that these beings are run by the ones that we call the Nordics. The beautiful, large, blonde-haired, blue-eyed people that a lot of people talk about. Like, maybe it isn't that the race that Admiral Byrd met under his North Pole journey when he saw the woolly mammoth and he was tractor beamed into a crystal palace underground and met the ancient one and that stuff. That's in Admiral Byrd's diary. That's also on my channel if you want to look that up. Admiral Byrd's diary. But yeah, I thought about it when I was watching this with my mom. Maybe those screens they were showing me were actually the window. And I didn't feel any inertia, so I didn't think the craft left anywhere. But my mother, in one interview I've done with her, she says that we actually flew off and she waited in the yard for me. And she said, it seemed like I waited forever before you came back. And now I'm thinking, they showed me on the screen different scenes would appear, and they were from all over the world, like forests and beaches and oceans and people and buildings and things going on in scenes. But a lot of it right now I don't recognize. But I remember the variety and the type of presentation. Maybe we were actually at all of those places, because now that I know how the over unity frequencies work when you travel around in that anti-gravity, anti-inertial bucket torus field that goes around the craft, you don't feel any inertia. It's like, oh, we're going that way. Rip your headphones out. There's none of that. You could just be looking at something and you're there. So when I was back in my yard, I wouldn't have even known it. I would have just gone, all right, bye, and I walked out of the craft. But I wanted to take the wand with me. The one like on Men in Black? It's kind of like that, where they shine the light and then people forget where they're at. Anyway, let's go back to the chat and see where you guys are at. Which one is my... Here we go. 2 people. Hey, what's up? I was playing Rocksmith on PS3 for Song Satisfaction. Satisfaction. I've always liked that song. That one, I think I'm going to play some Johnny Cash for you on one of these videos. I do Ring of Fire. I do some George Jones, Randy Travis type stuff. Good old country boys around, and you were coming down the line. Without warming up, that Randy Travis type George Jones. I like playing a few of those. I'm not super big into country, but I'll do those. But All right. Let's go back to scene one. So that was my interview with my mom about that. So what do you think, guys? What do you do, you know? Here I am, I'm in my mid-50s, and I find out about this just like 2.5 years ago. Maybe almost 3 years now. But in the very smallest pieces, you know, it was just a thing where I remembered. What was the first thing I remembered? I think I dreamt about it a few times here. I would wake up in the morning and go, and my mind would be thinking, what is that? What is that? And I remembered my mother coming up to the corner of my bed with her hand out and saying, come here, I want you to meet someone. So at first I wanted to ask my mom. I said, do you remember? I wanted to ask her, do you remember coming into my room and saying that in the middle of the night to go meet somebody in the front yard? Some little men. And when I finally remembered to ask her about the situation, she was just like, yeah, I remember that. She goes, yep, they were out in the front yard on the east side up by the street. And I'm just like, you were there. It's like, it changed everything when I thought this was a reoccurring dream. And I wanted to ask my mom about it, because if she knew about it, I wanted to know if it was like my invisible friend Mikey. He might try everything. You know, if I had an invisible friend, or if I ran around with a cape on as a little kid, or thought I was a World War I pilot, let me know. You know, did I ever talk about running around with little spacemen and the little light wand I wanted to take to show and tell? Did my teacher ever tell you that your son told the class today in show and tell that he got taken aboard a craft in his front yard and he tried to get the wand? And I'm sorry, I might have done this. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't have the wand with me. They wouldn't let me bring it. And I think the teacher said, okay, thank you, Alex. Go sit down now, please. For real. And so I have a friend who's actually two people I went to high school with. But the wife is a spiritual guru, and she knows a lot about binaural beats and hypnotic regression. I've been hypnotized before in regression one time to remember some details about an event I was at, and it worked. I even smelled what I was wearing. I had a leather jacket on in that event, and I forgot all about that. And I smelled it when I was laying on the couch getting regressed. It's not like when you're hypnotized, it's not like you just disappear and they can do whatever they want to and then you're going to come back. You're there the whole time, you're conscious of it, and you can hear them talking when they're just trying to say whatever they're doing to relax you and tell you what to think and how to get through the experience. And you know they're there, you know they're present, you know they're just doing their job. There's nothing creepy about it, like, oh, I can't hold on, now they've got a hold of me, they can control me, I can't perceive, you know. You're connected, you're there the whole time. But you suddenly just have extra senses. It's like, wow, I just smelled that leather jacket. So I'm sitting there with my leather jacket on. Huh? I forgot. Then I remember thinking, you can hear the sound. You can probably even remember exactly what song was playing at any particular moment in a conversation. And so anyway, a friend of mine's wife would like to regress me, and then I could go into this situation, back to this event in my front yard, and I would like to remember what scenes they showed me or places they took me to, and find out what we talked about, what they wanted to show me. I don't think I was being shown things like my future, the apocalypse, or how to be some prophet someday or anything like that. I think they were just testing me. It was like an IQ test and a spiritual will test, you know, or abilities or something. But I must have failed. I figure, because they never came back, and in my life I've never had any other experiences. Although I wonder now if I'm here looking for hypnotic regression and thinking about it all the time and dreaming about it, maybe telepathically will they pick that up and come back and visit me again? As long as it's the same ones as before and nothing dark happened that I don't remember, that's the other thing. What if I go and get regressed and find out that something happened on board that craft that was untoward, or that I didn't like, or something scared me? And what I want to see that again, or feel it again, or even smell it again. So those are things to think about. Flat Earth stuff. Flat stuff Earth. So you were playing Rocksmith on PS3. What is Rocksmith? I haven't played that. I'm just not a gamer at all. First song is Satisfaction. I catnap for a second now. Satisfaction's a great song. It's one of those cathartic rock songs, just like I did when I did that video this week. If you're frustrated, not having a good day, and you got a guitar next to you and you play, and I just rhymed, then pick it up and just belt it out. My neighbors know that I sing really loud. I have neighbors that live above me in a condominium, and they said they like it when I sing, so I can sing loud and yell like that. And like I remember Chris Cornell, somebody asked him, where do you learn to sing like you do without, where do you find a song space where you don't scare people? Or, you know, can you imagine if he was in an apartment building like in New York City, everybody in the building would think they could hear him. But he said he goes in his car and he drove around in his car. I've done that a lot. I sing in my car. I put on the songs I want to learn. And usually if I have a commute, I had a 35-minute commute when I was in Dallas to Plano, McKinney, and I used to listen to Audio Slave and Soundgarden and just learn with Chris Cornell and play the higher registers, you know, and how to keep my chops up for playing powerful. Like this one, when I sang Satisfaction this week, I'm getting warmed up and it's starting to come back to me. I think with another, it's like going to the gym when you've stopped. Let's say you went to the gym a lot for years every day and you got definition in the build, but you've lost it because you're all deflated and acidic diet and whatever you've done. And then when you get back into it, you see improvement. I'm just right there where I'm kind of seeing some improvement of basically I just don't eat as much. And so that helps me. But yeah, keeping your chops up when you're singing is great. If you play any kind of guitar at all, if you like to busk, or if you're trying to learn, even just if you learn how to do what I call like campfire sing-along guitar, learn your basic chords. Like if you notice that song when I sang Satisfaction, that's all in the first 3 frets. Everything I did. I didn't do anything crazy up the neck. Well, maybe the 4th and 5th fret when I bridged to the 4 off of that C chord. Or is it the B flat? So, what is going on with everybody? How long have we been on here? See, I don't see that clock. Oh, 33 minutes. Cool. 33.3. I could stop it now and it'd be 333. Anybody ever have an alien encounter experience? Has anyone ever thought that they saw something was in their room? You know, the odd thing about my experience was they didn't come into my house. You hear about people that say they were teleported through the roof, or they levitated out of their bed and went right through the wall or through the window without even opening the window, but they didn't feel anything. Well, if these beings were standing on my grass in my yard looking at me and communicating with me telepathically saying, come on out, come visit us, I'll take you for a ride. And I'm saying, no, I'm not going out there without my mom. You have to go get my mom. So I think they met. They actually did look at each other and send out an envoy. See, I just have little flashes of little details that come out the more I talk about it and tell the story. It's odd. I think I'm ready to get hypnotically regressed. This couple lives about 2 hours away from me. The husband films. He works in the military, actually, and he's a video producer. He's the one that told me how to improve my lighting, how to move a studio, change my room, get a better webcam, get a gaming computer, everything that I've upgraded now, the new look for my channel and the new technology. I still want to get more video that I do with the selfie stick. And I need to get a gimbal. I think that's my next step, because I'm using the walking extendable selfie stick with the cell phone. So sometimes I might just upload videos where I'm walking around here, because I live at NASA, you know, so sometimes I can walk around the space shuttle, or I can walk around, I can go to Saturn Rocket Park, but not right now because of the crown bug, but if we didn't have any health restrictions, I can go around inside the Saturn V rocket building. I can go into the Space Center Houston Museum. I can look at a lot of different things I want to look at. But if anyone else wants to talk about aliens or ask any questions about them, I want to know, here's where I'm at. Okay, I've remembered this thing. More details come out the more I even talk about it. They pop up like flashbacks in an old memory. And if my mother remembers it, and we made that video, and we've already interviewed about it a couple of times, then, and all I remember is being aboard the craft, looking at the screens and seeing different images of different settings, things to look at. What questions were they asking me? What were they showing me specifically? What were my answers? Did they tell me what they were doing? Did they tell me what they were testing me for? Was it an aptitude test? An abilities test? Were they trying to see the way I thought, to see if I qualified to be in some program of theirs? Or if they were going to use me as a test victim or implant something in me? Did they implant something in me? Did I do it willingly? Did it hurt? Was I scared? I think I could say that now. I think I could take a regression and just go back and remember the scene. I nor my mother, neither one of us remember anything untoward or mean or scary during that event. Now, I know a lot of people say that they've had alien encounters or things have happened, or they've been even abducted by it. But here's someone who, I haven't talked about this for 48 years. I forgot about it. And then when it came back, it was like a part of a dream. Until you share that with your mom, and you're going to ask your mom, did I talk a lot about aliens as a kid, or did I say that I knew these men that would come and visit me at night and ever leave you wondering? Or did my teacher ever come to you and say that your son just told the class today some little green men took him aboard their craft, but they wouldn't let him have the wand to bring the show and tell, or he would have brought it, but it was really cool and it had these buttons on it. That sounds like me. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. If we're not having too much chat, I don't want to make these super long for no reason. But thank you for coming, Last Stuff Earth, and other people who've been in here currently. So there we go. All right. Y'all have a great day. Let me find the end screen here. Yeah. Love you, Mom. Thanks for being in the interview with me. But yeah, you should go look at the connection to that actual video. That's my video, and it's, look at this. YouTube automatically put the alien abduction definition Wikipedia under my video after they reviewed it. Alien abduction, sometimes called abduction phenomenon, alien abduction syndrome, or UFO abduction, is a personally held belief in which the alleged abductee describes subjectively real experiences of being secretly kidnapped. Yeah, well, when same thing happened to your mom and she got to ride first, it don't fit. She got to ride first. You know what she told me? She said she asked them, how do you not get picked up by radar and they don't know right where you're at? And they told her that they shrink. When they disappear and go, they shrink in time space. They have an indefinite proportional ability, right? So they just shrink out of our pixelization of definition that's available within our frequency ranges of our five senses and our perceptions, so that they can't be seen. My mom literally told me, she said they shrink off of our perception and what our radar can pick up, and then they move around and then they reappear proportionally to our size or something like that. Really, Mom? That came from Mom. All right. Y'all have a great day. Please come back, hit subscribe. Love you. See you tomorrow. Bye.